Welcome back, everybody. Nice little 10-day hiatus across the pond, and we back just like that. Some good R&R. It's great to be back in the building. Great to be back in Minnesota. Looking forward to getting things back going at the bank. Should be rocking. Obviously, got a big-time opponent coming in. Guys are preparing the right way, and really excited about the opportunity of just getting back on the grass and getting back to it.
As we get out of the way, what's your take on the kick that may or may not have hit?
Yeah, maybe it did, maybe it didn't, Kevin. We'll allow the league to kind of work that one out. We submit plays each and every week, and those are one of the plays that we submitted. The league is sending their response back to KO, and so I'll kind of let KO figure that portion out.
Can you say, during the in live action, did you have any sense that was even a question?
No, I think the biggest question that I had, because I've seen Will hit a gazillion balls, was just in terms of how it came off. Is it off of his foot and the trajectory of it, and how it kind of went off to the side was kind of the only question I had, just in terms of how did that ball end up doing that. So I had a good conversation with Will, and he felt like he held it clean. He hit it clean, and so sometimes the ball just has a funny way of going.
You didn't come off the field running, saying this just something crazy just happened.
Nah, nothing in terms of that. In terms of I hit anything or it got tipped at the line of scrimmage. It was just felt like he just missed it.
Fundamentally, would Will even see it potentially hit a wire, or does he have his head down through the game?
Yeah, that's a good question, Dane. More times than not, he probably would be able to visibly see it, maybe. But a lot of the times, too, he's keeping his head down, up and through. So maybe that might not be something that he might be able to catch in live action.
Now, when it comes to the block kicks, it seems like we're seeing them a lot more. That's not my imagination, right?
No, it's not. It's probably it's the highest it's been in a long time.
Is there different strategies teams are using to do that, or why do you think the increase?
I think there's been a more of an emphasis on it, and maybe it's more of an emphasis on it. More starters are out there doing it, or there could be the amount of time that's being put into coaching it as well, just in terms of the field goal protection standpoint, because of how involved the kickoff and kickoff return play is starting to become in our phase. What's happening is maybe you spending more time on kickoff and kickoff return. And so as a result, you're losing time spending trying to emphasize field goal protection, in that instance. And maybe that might be the case, or maybe it's just the fact that you got guys like Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter out there now who are getting a good beat on it. You're starting to see a lot of guys really locking in on the actual signal and cadence of holders, which is allowing them to get good BGO jumping off the football, for them to kind of have a good reaction to get off the football and being able to drive for 5. So that could be a good portion of it as well. But I think guys are just being a lot more intentional about just firing out the ball and understanding that this is a huge, huge play in the football game, and obviously points always matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, what did you think of Ryan's performance against the Browns?
Yeah, I thought Mr. Wright really hit some good balls. I think, from a placement standpoint, we're still looking to improve. I think we punted 5 times. I would probably say 3 out of the 5 were really, really good. And 2 of those, you would like to kind of, have the ball a little bit more further towards the sideline, outside the numbers. But overall, I thought it was a really good performance. Obviously, he hit the 77-yard ball to pin him inside the 5-yard line or at the 2-yard line, and he had this to the goal with the holding penalty, which is huge. And so, again, those type of balls, the big balls, the 60-plus yard hits, I mean, we can hit those all day if we choose to. But, it's always kind of understanding the game within a game. Who's the returner? What does the personnel look like from a return standpoint? And, what are we trying to do for that specific play week in and week out? And so, we just got to have an understanding of what type of balls we want to hit from week to week, because there'll be weeks where we're trying to hit 65-yard plus balls every single week to flip the field. And, there'll be other weeks where we're just looking the ball to be 45 yards with a nice, good 4-7 second hang, put it outside the numbers. We'll take a force a fair catch all day. So,
Has the kickoff impacted the way punters around the league just have to think of that? Because it seems like there's very few times where you're punting from your own 20. It seems like it's always kind of a coffin corner situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's an interesting thing, too, because a lot of the times now with where the field position kind of is going, you get into these three-way situations where you could be in a sky situation, or you could be in a go forward, or you could be in a field goal situation, too. And so the variety of balls in which we got to hit when you kind of get into this fringe area is what we like to call it, where you're like at the -40 and you're really not trying to hit too deep of a ball. You're still trying to pin them inside of the 10-yard line, ideally. And so now it kind of comes in, all right, what type of ball do I want to hit in this situation? Can we force a returner to possibly try to field it at the 5-yard line or at the 3-yard line to see if we can get them to return it and force them inside the 10 from that standpoint? Or can we get them to force a fair catch inside the 10-yard line from that distance? And so there's just a lot of different situations and a lot of different type of balls that can arise from based off of the, you know, the field position from the kickoff and KOR play that's kind of happening now.
Just sorry, go ahead.
Matt, on the field goal protection, our team's going to have to, you know, because you see a lot of, you know, just it's not just coming off the edge, it's up the middle. You know, our team's just going to have to keep their, other than the center, their starting line out there. Or?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and you know the biggest thing is that you only really dress 8 offensive linemen, maybe nine, but more times than not it's going to be 8. And so out of the 8, you're going to have 6 of your offensive linemen on the field goal protection team unless you feel really, really good about a defensive lineman going out there and doing it. And so obviously you don't want to put your center out there. So that eliminates one of the 8. So now you're really down to 7 guys that could possibly go out there to fulfill those 6 spots. And so, I mean, you really don't have a choice but to put your starters out there. And maybe you might be able to you know, have one guy, you know, let's call it a Christian Darisaw, not be out there on the field, right? Whereas, all right, well, now I'm only down to 6 guys, and so these 6 guys are really all I got unless I want to throw, a Redmond into the game or Ty Ingram Dawkins into the game, or now you kind of get into the Jonathan Allens, and now it's like, all right, well, how much better is a Jonathan Allen than, let's call it a Donovan Jackson? You know, so at the end of the day, and you got to have the best guys out there because, again, I mean, this play is so important because points is on the line, and so you got to put your best guys out there because, again, what you're seeing around the league from a trend standpoint is, you know, defensive starters are out there. Myles Garrett, I mean, was taking it to school 2 weeks ago. You know, him, Denzel Ward, week before that, TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward is out there. Like, those guys are out there penetrating and really trying to cause a ruckus out there and wreak havoc to see if they can find a way to steal points from us. And so we just got to be locked in and, you know, we emphasize it week in and week out, and we spend plenty enough time on it to understand how important of a play it is. And, you know, we only allotted 8 guys on game day, and 6 out of those 8 got to be out there. Really, it's 7 out of 8 because the center won't ever be out there.
We've seen Xavier Scott become an offensive contributor. What did you see from him when this team first acquired him? And obviously he's contributed on special teams quite a bit as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing with Zay is you look at a guy that's 6'1", 225 pounds. He's explosive as ever. He's got big-time speed. And I think the biggest thing that was really the biggest question mark really for him, and really what we challenged him on the most, being as though he was a receiver in transition and becoming a running back, was the physicality, the violence, was how does he handle defeating blocks, how does he handle tackling in space. And, you know, ever since we really got this guy in the building, dating back to last year, all he's done is kind of just continue to check those boxes and show us, you know, that he's a tough, physical football player, smart, plays with great instincts, plays with great combative hands. And, you know, I see this guy's trajectory just kind of just keep getting better and better week in and week out. And, you know, I'm excited to continue to put him out there, allow him to face the fire, put his face in the fan, just allow him to continue to grow in that mindset. Cool. Appreciate you.